Welcome to On the Road with Mibbenbar, a podcast that takes a deep dive into the realms of storytelling, culture, and exploration. Join Jack and Lisa as we engage in thought-provoking chats with a variety of guests, uncovering insights that unite our communities. This series offers an inspiring journey filled with discovery. Let's embark on this adventure together.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm pretty good actually. I'm around about, I reckon, 90%.
What's a big jump?
It's a little. Well, I said 80 yesterday. So.
That's what I'm saying. That's a big jump from 80 yesterday to 90 today.
That big. Yeah. Let's run with it. So, what are we having a yarn about? And tell a little story.
I think we should share your story of our Bali heart event, heart activation, heart awakening, a heart story that scared the crap out of me. And I'm sure it scared you too. But I think maybe.
Oh, no. I was told yesterday by someone that it would have scared the bejesus out of me, if you like. So.
I'll have to say, though, and I know you'll share when you share your story, you stayed very calm through the whole process until they started talking dollars.
And that was probably the scariest part, to be honest. But anyway, let's kick off with May the 1st.
Yes, can you share that? Start it
early in the morning.
Yeah, I think that's important because listening to your intuition, your gut feeling, your knowing.
So if we just go back to 1st of May, we got up, we did what we normally do. We went for a nice walk. We're in Brisbane.
Mm-hmm.
So we went for a walk, and then on the way back, we thought we'd have a coffee, yeah?
Yep.
As we normally do, have our coffee dates. And where we were walking past, there was a group of shops, and there was probably 3 cafes there.
Correct.
And us being us, were deciding which cafe to go there.
Mm-hmm.
You probably got a different story to me than on this one. But
just a little bit, but keep going.
I didn't want to go to the 2 in the main street. I wanted to go to the one on the
side street.
Off street, yeah.
That's because the sun was out, and that was the only spot where the sun was.
Okay.
Is what I'm thinking. Why you want to pick that one?
Okay,
let's just run with that. Yeah, keep going.
So we sat down. Now, at this stage, LB, Lisa was on the phone to Jetstar because they had mucked up our tickets for the plane. And we'd only just realised this. And I only say we only just realised it because we only booked it the night before, I think, or the day before. So we realised that the name on the ticket didn't have our middle names.
Yeah, it didn't have our full name. What you need what's on your birth certificate for an international flight? Yeah.
What's on your passport? You need on your.
What did I say? Birth certificate.
Yeah. We need it on our tickets. So Lisa was on there. They basically, long story short, they wanted to charge us $170 each to change our names. And now Lisa was very persuasive, and she did a really good job of telling them that it was their fault, and that no, we would not be paying $170. Let's go for nothing. Meantime, so she did a really good job. Meantime, there was a dog that was sitting over under the table. We hadn't seen him, hadn't seen her, and then when it popped its head out, I said to Lisa, "Oh, look how sad that dog is." So then the dog come over with the owner, and the owner was trying to rehome the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another story for another time. But anyway, that's just part of this morning that we're trying to delve into. We had our coffee. We exchanged numbers with the guy that was trying to rehome the dog, Mark. And we went. At this stage, Lisa had to go back and she had a couple of meetings, phone meetings. So I said I would go to the supermarket and get us some snacks for the plane. So off I went to the supermarket, got the snacks that we needed. And while I was there, I picked up aspirin, a box of aspirin. And I'm thinking, box of aspirin, why? Because we don't take aspirin. We don't ever have aspirin in the house. I put it in the trolley. Again, long story short, put it in the trolley. Come back to the room. Lisa had finished by this stage, and I said, "Look, I got some aspirin." She said, "Why did you get aspirin? We don't even take aspirin." I said, "I don't know. I just did." Anyway, on the plane, it was a long trip. It was 6.5 hours. Lisa was in her own little world there. She was watching.
I downloaded a couple of movies before we got on the plane, so
I'm just trying to get to what you were watching. I was on the
window
side, trying to relax, and it was just no point because it was very uncomfortable
flight for you.
Flight for me. We got to Bali, which was supposed to be our 4-day long weekend trip. And I started to have some pain right through my left nipple and a little bit of pain into my left bicep. I didn't tell Lisa.
No, I was just about to jump in and say I didn't know any of this at this time.
So what I thought would be a quick turnaround in the airport turned out to be an hour later. As people will know that you need to fill out some paperwork, you need to fill it out correctly. And what happened was, why we kept getting knocked back was because someone had filled it out that we were living in Indonesia. So we got to the gate and they turned us around to go and see an officer. Back we went to see the officer. This happened 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting a little bit agitated, as you could imagine, a little bit of pain in my chest and arm, and I wasn't quite myself, to be honest. And Lisa goes, "Why don't you just calm down? Like normally you're pretty calm and that sort of stuff." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I get you." And I said, "Let's just get out of here."
But I didn't know you were in that type of pain. All you said was, "I don't feel well. I just want to get out of the airport." Correct. And I didn't realize that I had stuffed up the online visa, putting us as Bali residents coming. Anyway,
we caught our lift back to our motel, and I must admit it was pretty. It wasn't all that long. It was probably 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But seriously, it seemed like 2 hours for me because of those pains and all that sort of stuff. We got into our room and we did say to Lisa that I had some chest pains, and she said, "I'll ring the doctor." And I said, "Yes, okay, that'd be fantastic." So doctor come. And I was going to say funny thing, but it's not probably funny. It's more strange is that the only thing I had was a little bit of pain in my left nipple and down into my left bicep. I didn't have any of the signs and symptoms of, the real pressure on your chest, the cold sweats, the nausea, high blood pressure. So the doctor came and he took my blood pressure. I think he even did an ECG, didn't he, on the portable?
Yeah.
Portable machine. That all come back fine. So he said to us, which was probably about 11 p.m. at night, he said, if you have any further pains, go to the hospital. So we were like, I didn't have any pain at that time. So we nodded off and went to sleep.
I can't believe we did that.
And around 2:00 in the morning, we both woke up. We both sat up, and I said, "I haven't got any pain." So we both went back to sleep. And then probably about 5:30, 5:45, I woke up and I had the pain again. So I said to Lisa, I've got pain again. And she goes, all right, we're going to the hospital. I said, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we jumped in a car and straight to the hospital, and jump in anytime you want to, Dom.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I'm smiling now while you're talking because I love you. I love looking at you. But I was not smiling at the time when all this was happening. It was probably that when you said yes to the hospital was when I went, okay, there's something really wrong. I sort of kicked myself that we went to sleep or we didn't go straight to the hospital, but I didn't know anything at that time, of course. But what you forgot to mention too is that you, and I didn't know that you did this, but you had taken the aspirin when we got to the airport while we were getting rejected, not being able to get back in and the paper wasn't right. So in that time too, which is what the doctor had said to you, the doctor that came out to the hotel was, oh, you've taken an aspirin, that's probably helped. But through that whole process, even while we're waiting to get to the hospital, you were very calm, like very grounded. Like, so when I talk to people about you having a heart event, when it started at the airport, everyone sort of thought it was a dramatic scene, but you were so calm, which probably kept me calm. And that's why I didn't know how serious it was until we got to emergency at the Bali hospital when they started doing some other tests, and you might want to share that bit too.
Well, I'll jump in there because, like, when we were in emergency at the first hospital, they did all their tests. So my blood pressure was, maybe a little bit elevated, but you can put that down to stress and all that sort of stuff as well. My heart rate was bang on. The ECG come back fine. And then I had none of those other symptoms around, the cold sweats, the nausea, all that sort of stuff. And then, so he goes, I think you're going to be right to go. And I said, okay, no worries. And he said, well, we just got one more test to do. So we do a blood test for troponin levels. And I said, okay, no worries. And so then they come back and they had their results from the troponin. Now, the troponin levels are supposed to be less than 200.
Mm-hmm.
The first reading come back at 1,300. And I guess why they were a little bit concerned was because it was so high, of course. But with the troponin, and someone might be able to correct me if I say any of this wrong, but what happens is there's normally, as they say, less than 200, a reading of 200 in your blood at any time for troponin levels. But if your heart's damaged, the walls of your heart are damaged, this troponin leaks out into your blood system, and that's when they know that it's damaged. So they said 1,300. And so he wasn't overly concerned then, because he said, we'll do it, and which is protocol now that they do a couple of different readings after a couple of different hours. So he said, we'll do one more. And he said, if it comes back that it's gone down or it's stabilized, we'll be happy, and I think you'll be able to go. So we waited, we're having chats and talking about a bit of payment because we didn't have any travel insurance, which is probably one thing I didn't listen to myself, because a couple of days before I got told to get travel insurance. And I thought, we're going for 4 days, doesn't matter, nothing's ever happened before.
But we're also thinking it's 4 days, we're staying at the hotel, we just wanted a little reset, we needed some time to ourselves, we needed to and it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
So back to the hospital scene, and when the doctor come back, his facial expression had sort of changed a bit by the second reading had come back, and this time it come in at 1,800. So we were way over, and we're still going up. So the next thing was, like Lisa and I are talking about flying home and all this sort of stuff. And
I just wanted to wrap you up and take you home.
And the doctor said, he goes, look, you aren't going anywhere because you're a flight risk, and
I can't discharge you. I won't discharge you. is what he
I
said.
went
as well.
discharge, yeah. And we all know that if I had wanted to discharge, I could have discharged myself. But
Of course.
the thing is that he then gave us two options. So to stay in the little small hospital that we're in, and they could have done a ultrasound, which would see if there was any sort of blockage in my heart. But then if they did that and there was a blockage, then they would have to transport me to the other hospital. So the other option was to go straight to the other hospital, have an angiogram where they check for any blockages, and if there is a blockage, they can then do an angioplasty where they put the stent in. So we had a bit of a think about it, and then we decided that second option was going to probably be the best for us because we would be able to get it all done in. If there was a blockage, which we didn't know at this stage if there was or not, that we'd be able to get it treated there and then. So next thing was off to the other hospital. So they don't allow you to be on your feet. So I had to have an X-ray. So they took me for an X-ray, but in a wheelchair, and I was feeling pretty shamed by this stage, being wheeled around in a wheelchair, and then they transport you. They change you over from the wheelchair to a trolley, and then they load me into the back of the ambulance. So now you can see how much shame I've got. I'm, in the back of an ambulance on the trolley, still feeling okay. So then they strap me in, and then Albie's in the front, and basically driving the ambulance.
No, it wasn't.
And then next minute I hear the friggin' siren going off, and I'm thinking, oh no, this is.
And you actually thought that I said to them, "Can you put the sirens on?" Yeah.
The first thing I said to Lisa when we got to the other hospital was, "Did you do that? Did you get them to put those sirens on?" She said, "No, as if I would do that." And I said, "Yeah, you would do that." But anyway, we got to the other. This was on the Sunday.
On the 3rd of May.
No, Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, the Saturday, the 2nd. Yeah, because the 3rd you had the procedure. But I don't think at that stage you realised, well, whether you knew or you didn't want to know what was happening. So even when they said to you, you can't get up and walk, you've got to go in the wheelchair to have the X-ray, and then even getting into the ambulance, because you're so independent, you're fit and you're healthy, whether you knew what was happening and just didn't want to accept it, they were looking after you. And I think before we got to the sister hospital, is what they called it, the fear that we had that started came from calling home. Everyone, why get him out of he's in Bali, get him out of that hospital. And then once we stopped listening to that and got centered and cleared and spoke to some really beautiful people that are in the medical world, that are doctors and paramedics and some beautiful spiritual people as well, and to help us get centered again, I think that's when, plus there was no other option really to have the procedure, but you also had to be clear to have that done, like in your mind and in your spirit of who you are.
I feel like when we spoke about the angiogram and the angioplasty in the first hospital, the little hospital, I felt like I'd made up my mind then that it's the best thing to do, because if there is a blockage, then they can fix it there and then. So I think I accepted it then. I probably didn't realise how bad it was, if you like. So that was my thing about walking around. I get, that they don't want to put more pressure on your heart by walking around and all that sort of stuff. Got to the second hospital. It was a bit of a blur from there, to be honest.
Well, we went into their emergency room. They were still doing more tests. Again, I can't fault the hospital system, the healthcare system over there, the way they looked after you. But so we were in that emergency in the sister hospital, and then you went up to ICU. And I think that's where we probably both freaked out, panicked a little bit. I know I did when they mentioned you'd go into ICU. My thoughts and memory of anyone in ICU have never been great. So that's when a bit of fear kicked in and a bit of panic. But in all of that, I also knew in my heart, you would be okay. It was just getting through it all and just accepting what we were doing and where we're at, because there weren't too many choices.
Well, let's be honest. There were choices, but yeah, the best that we had available. So we ran with that, and I do have to say that the amount of care and love and support that come not just from everyone in Australia back home, but even from the people right down from the cleaners to
Yeah.
right up to Wayan, the cardiologist. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. Like seriously, you don't get that sort of treatment from everyone back home.
No.
It was a bit of an eye opener, and then I spent the night in ICU, and it was probably a little bit hard, to be honest. Like there's a lot of sick people in ICU,
And we never have a night apart, and I wasn't allowed to stay the night.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We're trying to get and they kept saying to me that Lisa could only come in for a few hours, and we weren't having any of that. So we actually conned them a couple of times.
Well, they were real tears. I did burst into tears and said, I can't leave him. I can't go to. I need to see he's okay.
Yeah, but I do think I was lucky. It was really hard of a night in ICU because it was so bright, and I slept with a blanket over my head, and I swear that it's the loudest place I've ever been. Like the staff, and it was like they were at a nightclub in Chapel Street, Brand.
Back in the old.
Yeah, back in the old days, it was seriously like that. But and again, I mean, you couldn't even be angry or upset at them because they're just so beautiful, Like they were enjoying their jobs, and they really were. So anyway, next day comes the Sunday, so they were pretty keen to get this done as well. So I was booked in for, I think
10 a.m.
10 a.m. and then they were a bit late coming, but we got to meet the cardiologist on the Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Saturday afternoon he come in to see you once he'd done his rounds and upstairs.
He was like a rock star, this lad.
He was so cool.
Wayan was his name, and he had his little backpack on, and like
and his leather jeans and his boots.
Everyone's thinking, everyone, like there, he's like
so in awe of him. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We got to meet him. He was happy to meet us and have a chat to us. And the only probably thing with communication there was because they all had their face masks on. It was a little bit challenging at times with some of the words. I mean, it's a little bit different when people don't have face masks on because you can read their lips and things like that. So we met Wayan, and then next morning we were waiting
to go in.
Waiting, and he was running a little bit late, and I was really ready for this procedure. And
I think, sorry, I just to jump in, but I think once you met the cardiologist too and seen him and he had a chat with you, I think that also grounded you again to go, yeah, I'm ready to do this. Like, let's get going. We're on the that Friday night when we landed, and then most of Saturday morning, we were really unsure of. We were sort of a bit blinded by what was happening, but I think once we got over to the other hospital, and then you met the cardiologist, there was more of that knowing of let's get on with it. I'm safe. This is good to go. Talking about it now, but at the time, I don't think we really felt all of that. But I do believe he settled us. Well, he settled me down once I met him and seen him. I trusted him.
Yeah. So they did come and get us, and I was again on the trolley, and Lisa was following by, and off to the operating theatre we went, and like it was. We already knew that I wouldn't be put under general anaesthetic, so I would be awake the whole time, which was good and bad, I think. So
well, I don't know if I would have coped with being awake while they I mean, you have no choice, but I don't like being put to sleep as well. But knowing you're awake while they're touching your heart, I know they're saving your life at the same time, but I felt nervous and sick while I was sitting outside in that hallway, waiting for you, thinking, and everyone had said to you it was it's usually a 10-minute procedure. It's done pretty quick.
It didn't start on time either, so it was probably about.
So I meant the procedure itself isn't very long, is it?
No, 40 minutes, I reckon. So we get to there and they wheel me in, and then there's a couple of nurses there, and then this whole friggin' metal bowl full of something went flying onto the ground, onto the floor, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is not a good sign. And then Dr. Wayan waltzes in and hear the music playing in the background, some country and western, some Luke Combs and some Alan Jackson playing, and I'm thinking, oh, he's a real cool dude, this lad. So then just before we started, he gathered everyone together and come close to me, and we all said a prayer together. So, I mean, some people would take that as a bad sign, but I took it as a really good sign.
No, it's beautiful.
So we did that, and then I don't know if it was good or bad that during the procedure, there's a lot of Balinese talk going on, and so I couldn't understand it. And it was like at times that people were really animated and really loud, and like one time I heard stop, and I'm thinking, oh shit, I could be in trouble here, But for me, the biggest thing was when they laid me on the operating table, they said, now you have to stay completely still. Now, Lisa, you know me.
So is this when you had the moment of, oh, I think Lisa's right, I could have ADHD? I cannot sit still.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I thought, how in God's name am I going to stay still?
Good luck. You did it though.
Well, sort of, because the way they had to put my arm, because I'm going through my wrist, yeah. So they had to put my right wrist at a certain angle. So the anaesthesiast had it at a certain angle, and I knew that I couldn't hold it there like that for that whole time. It was already starting to hurt, and I'm going to myself, I've got to move it. So I started to move it a little bit, and then Dr. Wayan come over, and he actually moved my hand to where I wanted it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And then they started the procedure. When they started the procedure, I said to Lisa, I felt that like really, like it was like a big long cut, and I could feel that, and I could actually hear it go, like cut. And I thought, shit, that's badass, And then they got going, and then it wasn't too bad. I mean, the only thing for me was I had a bit of a sore neck for the last couple of years, and I think the way I was holding it didn't help that pain. So that was my only gripe about that. And then I said a couple of times, Wayan, like he would calm me, would do a little bit, and then over on the wall there was a chair there, and he would go over there, sit with his hands to his face, and then think for a little bit, and then come back. So he did that a couple of times, and then every time he wanted to talk to me, he'd give me a whack on the leg, and then he'd come and talk to me. And the last time that he did that, he was coming to say that, one of the arteries, the coronary artery, was nearly blocked completely, but it was in an unusual spot. It was more around the back of the heart, and there was another little one that he wasn't too worried about, that he thought we could get looked at when we got back to Australia. And the anaesthesiast was there, and he was saying, we put one stent in, and he's saying to Dr. Wayan, I think we should put the other one in. I think you should put the other one in. And he goes, no. He goes, these poor people haven't got travel insurance. So I'm thinking, what a great man, like, to be honest. And because it was already like up around 40,000 for for the visit
That's
so
right.
far, and to put that other stent in would have been another 20,000 on top of that. So I think he was looking after us in that way. But as he was saying that, like, he'd already finished, so he's showing me what he did, and all that sort of stuff. And all I was interested in was, can you go and talk to my wife, Lisa, please? I said, I need you to talk to her. And so then I'm going to let Lisa finish off that. But then the nurse come out and
So
said to
while
Lisa,
I'm waiting for Jack to have his procedure, and I'm again trying to stay as calm and grounded and not panic too much, and just sitting out there and praying to everyone and anything that would listen to me to make sure that Jack was safe and he's okay. And then the nurse pops his head out and he's like, oh, the doctor wants to see you. And I said, oh, is Jack okay? The doctor wants to see you. So then my heart sort of started to beat a little bit. I felt a bit sick in the stomach, and I said, oh, but where's Jack? No one's answering me. The nurse is just, so my mind started to go, oh, fuck, have they killed him? Did the procedure not work? What's happened? And the cardiologist is sitting there, and I'm going, oh, so is Jack okay? Is everything okay? And he's, yeah, take a seat. No one would answer me, like, tell me that Jack was okay. And then the cardiologist is talking, there's a video of what the procedure. So he's showing me, his amazing work, and I'm watching Jack's heart beating on the screen, and I'm like, yeah, okay, but where's Jack? Is Jack okay? And he's going, yeah, look what I've done, and this is where it's blocked, and I put this in, and there's another one I'm a bit not too worried about, and I go, but where's Jack? No one's answering me, and I'm starting to panic. I'm starting to sweat. I didn't know if I was going to faint or what was going to happen. And then I could just, as I looked over the computer, what he was showing me, I see Jack sit up in his gown, and he just waves to me. And I thought, oh my God, I really want to fucking kill you right now and love you and cuddle you at the same time. Then I could see like what the cardiologist was talking about, but at the same time, I had no idea what he was saying to me because I was in such a panic to make sure that you were okay. But when I seen you, I just thought, oh, thank God. And you were so happy. You were just like, I'm good. And even when you waved, you scared me. But the cardiologist wasn't really worried about the second artery, like the one that they were talking about doing the other stent. He said to me, you can change it through lifestyle, no red meat, no egg yolk. And I said, red meat? I said, this man loves his red meat. He goes, no more red meat. Cut it out. So he was beautiful. But later on, we really understood why he was so proud of the work he did, of how tricky the artery that was blocked. But he was pretty happy, sent Jack off to ICU. We all walked back together, and not walked back, Jack was still on the bed. And I think a couple of hours later, he said to the other doctor on the ICU ward, oh, so how long am I here for? And that doctor just looked at Jack and said, we just touched your heart. We just did some work on your heart. You're not going anywhere. Just relax. You'll stay here for a couple of days, and we just got to monitor you now. And I was thinking, oh, thank God someone can tell Jack to sit still for a minute. Let's see how this goes. But that was nice after that bit was done. We could sort of relax, do you think? Did you feel that in ICU? And then once we got to the ward?
Yeah, look, I think once I got to the ward, it was a lot better,
Well, you could sleep there as well. Yeah.
And I must admit, so with the incision, if you like, that they put in, what they went through, because I thought it was this, 2-inch
big cut.
They put this plastic clamp on to stop the blood, and I'm thinking, yeah, all right. So it's really tight, and every couple of hours they come around and loosen it off a bit until the blood stops flowing.
Yeah, that's right.
So they did that, and then once they got it all off, I'm thinking, where's this incision? Where's this cut? It was
like a pin drop
on my tat. There's a dot between
some numbers,
and that's exactly where he went in, and that's exactly what it was, a dot. So it wasn't big at all. I mean, probably the bigger concern for me was where they put the catheter into my other wrist, and that started to swell and
But your body had started to reject it by then because you had wanted it out.
wandered out. Yeah.
Jack said, "Oh, I've had enough of this," and I said, "Oh, just they're following the guidelines and their procedure, and they're looking after you. Just leave it." And it's like, no, it needs to go out. I've had enough of it. I don't need that anymore. And then, sure enough, within a couple of hours, I think it started to block.
It's probably half hour, yeah.
And we'd said to the nurse a couple of times, "Oh, look, it looks like it's blocked. His arm's getting a bit swollen." No, I think it's all right. They tried fiddling around with it, and Jack said, "No, this needs to go." And then, they ended up taking it out a little bit earlier. But you felt fine, and you could.
I felt really good, yeah.
But again, I mean, they looked after you so beautifully, and we've spoke about this a lot since we've been back too. But when people talk about sending love and sending healing, and they pray for you and they care for you, that you really feel that. I think the kindness, it does, and the kindness helped, and then we're back home. But that was a bit scary, even from the hospital to get to the hotel. Well, for me it was. I know you were ready to get out of the hospital. I felt you were safe in the hospital, but I wanted you at the hotel so we could be together. But
and it wasn't like, I remember we went and grabbed the coffee. Like first when I left the hospital and we went back to the motel, and I had really bad anxiety going to this coffee shop, and I thought, oh shit, this is not good, But it didn't last long. Lisa was able to calm me down, and it was good. And then the thing was that because I think we both wanted to stay, if we're in Bali as long as we could, but we both wanted to get home as well. So it was sort of a 22 situation. So when my aunt said, 10 days before you can fly, we thought, oh, okay, so we can either go at 10 days or stay a bit longer. But we both thought that we'd be ready to go by 10 days after the operation. But the only thing we had to do was see Wayan the day before.
To get the okay again.
And he was so happy when he seen us, wasn't he?
Oh, it's just a completely different. What day do you want to see me, Jack? What time works for you? Oh, I'm available. Let's, is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock? Afternoon's better, but you tell me. But even when you went in to see him, he was so happy with how good you look, and
he gave me a hug and all. So
and was happy to have a photo. Said go and have a beer, and I'm arguing with him. I go, no, that's not true. He goes, yeah, go and have a beer now, Jack. Go and celebrate. Go and relax. I'm like, no, we're not having a beer, and we didn't. We haven't had any alcohol. But even when we got back to the hotel, it was, just learning for both of us to go slow, because we run at 100 miles an hour. We're on the move all the time. But before this event, we had spoke about slowing down and changing our still do our work, but not probably as hard and fast as we have been going. And I think, lucky you're fit, lucky you're healthy, lucky you're grounded, and quite calm.
And I think that the thing is, and I know we both feel like this, is that we both feel so grateful, and we both feel blessed, to be able to get that second chance, I guess, because a lot of people don't get that second chance when they have incidents like this. So for us, it was just amazing, and I get a little bit emotional when I think about that. So yeah.
Well, you're important, and I hope you know now how loved you are and how important you are.
And then it was back to Australia, wasn't it?
Yeah, that flight, I didn't enjoy the flight back because I was. I'm very confident I annoyed Jack for the whole 6 hours, every probably 10, 15 minutes. Are you okay? Do you feel anything? Do you want anything? Do you need anything? And all Jack wanted to do was sleep and rest on the plane. I'm sure you were probably nervous of jumping on the plane again, but
It wasn't too bad, actually.
no, I had all the anxiety, I think, with the flight.
I was sort of looking forward to getting home, but then it come like a bit of a crash when we did get home because
Yeah.
like I was feeling fantastic in Bali, and I think Dr. Wayan got the medications right, and then for us to find out, because he was just saying, you know, when you get back, just see a cardiologist there, and you know you'll be right, you'll be able to get a plan, and be able to do this and do that, and they'll tell you what you can, you can't do, and all that sort of stuff. And we thought, oh well, this will be easy. And poor Lisa had the job. She's trying to ring cardiologists everywhere and trying to get in. And, you know, like they're saying 8 to 12 weeks. And
that's before they look at the referral.
Yeah, before they even look at the referral. And,
and
Lisa's saying, you know, what if people are, you know, really sick and, you know, they need it? And they say, no, yeah, our cardiologists, they triage the reports and all that sort of stuff. And Lisa said to him, but if you're not looking at them for 8 to 12 weeks, people could die.
Could be dead, yeah.
Not that I was dying.
No, but we were thinking about other people as well. But I just wouldn't let it go. So we'd had some beautiful friends on the Gold Coast trying to get us into a cardiologist down there. And then I thought, fuck it, I'll just try Sunny Coast.
But firstly, we had to get referrals from the GP, and it just so happened because we only moved recently and we haven't got a GP here, so we had to try and get into the system, to the health system. And, you know, we went to the doctors and got into a doctor. I don't know how Lisa got me into this doctor because she hadn't taken new patients for 5 years. So, but she was the one that actually then prescribed 2 new drugs for me, and they seriously played havoc with both my physical being and my mental being. And I just thought, how can you even live with this sort of stuff going on? Because they dropped my heart rate to 39, and my blood pressure was really low as well. And when Lisa rang them, they said, oh well, if there's no dizziness or nausea or anything like that, it's okay, you know. And I thought, I can't do this, you know. So I was hoping that Lisa would be all right with it, but so I've decided to take myself off those two other medications. And then I said to Lisa, and she goes, oh yes, please do it, you know. And so I did it, and then we got to see the cardiologist, who was an absolute champion as well. And I said, oh, I've got to tell you something, you know, like I was put in these 2 other medications, and I've taken myself off them. And he goes, I don't blame you, I would have done the same thing. So,
and that, again, I think that's, you know, for who you are and the way you operate and live life. Yes, she checked in with the doctor. We needed her to get that referral, but that medication, she's a GP, she's not a cardiologist. But you knew something was off, like that medication wasn't right for you because, one, you never sleep through the day, or you're not a very good sleeper even of a nighttime, let alone sleeping throughout the day. And I know I upset you by saying you look depressed. Are you depressed? And you said to me, I'm not depressed. I'm sad. I don't feel good. And depression wasn't the right word because it wasn't. You weren't depressed.
No, but it wasn't the right.
But I just think, you know, if people don't have someone to talk to, how do they get through this, or do they just go through medication after medication? I mean, we just kept pushing, and I wasn't going to let go that we weren't going to find a cardiologist within that week because you were so clear and like in a really good space in Bali. And even when we come home, those couple, you know, that day or two before we saw the GP, but I
was down and out.
Yeah, but yeah, when we got back, you were really down. You were out. You didn't want to.
I couldn't.
You couldn't do anything, and you even slept when I was driving when we went to an appointment, and you never sleep when I'm driving. And I thought, this is not good. We need to fix this. This needs to change.
like I haven't seen the cardiologist, and like we spent a couple of hours with him, and he
really
was a
good.
really good fella too, Dr. Steve. So yeah, look,
We're not gonna try and pronounce his surname
no,
either.
no. He's a Greek fella, but
Mm.
originally from Melbourne, so that was another thing that had on his side. So, but we did. Then after that, we went and visited our beautiful friend Amir, who's a homeopath, and he actually hooked me up with some really natural remedies that I still had, which I didn't really tell Lisa about. I had this. It was a different pain, but it was an ache in my heart. So, and the way Amir spoke of it was about, your heart is your
Your
soul.
soul.
So and having your heart touched is something else. So, but I was really worried about this, like this ache, this pain, and and I suppose that's what happens to you when once you have that, like one sort of pain, you have this other sort of pain. Because I know I get a lot of aches in my heart that are for other reasons. So it's not like it's not
Well,
that.
if you are with someone that feels sad, you'll feel their sadness. Like you'll feel what other people are feeling or what they're going through. So, but that pain you're talking about, or that feeling you had, was so different to.
Yeah, no, it was.
And you're sick of me asking, "Are you okay? Do you want anything?"
You'll tell me, won't you? You'll tell me.
You
Let's
make
go
a promise to me that if this feeling comes up, because I did ask Jack when we were in Bali and we got back to the hotel and we finally had a little swim and we were sitting in the pool, and I said, now, did you know you were having a heart attack? He goes, yeah, I did, but yeah. And I said some words that I won't repeat. And I said, don't ever do that. Well, one, don't do it again, but tell me, don't not tell me what's happening, because we tell each other everything. But you said you didn't want to worry me.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk about that either.
No.
Delete that.
Look, Mia gave me some remedies, and it was like in an instance, the pain was gone. So I really love what he does and the work that he does with people, and he's just an absolute champion. I do have to say too, with the cardiologist Steve, when we got back, he actually put me on another couple of medications as well. Took me off a couple, but put me on a couple as well. So
it's all preventative, because your blood pressure's not bad, your high cholesterol, you don't have high cholesterol or any of that. So
well, that's what I was going to say, is that my cholesterol was normal, my blood pressure is normal as well, and then which probably plays with in my mind as well. It really plays with my mind with the medication, because I've never been on medication before. And then when he put these on, and he said, "Oh, look, your cholesterol's fantastic," but then he was able to explain that because there's a foreign body in your heart, which being the stent, which is metal, and what happens is the blood wants to flow through, but because there's a foreign body there, it wants to help repair that. So it stops and it clots up. So what they have to do is make sure that with the blood thinners and the aspirin and even the lowering of the cholesterol, that doesn't happen, that the blood doesn't stop and it doesn't clot, so that it again would then create a blockage. So once he said that, I think that really relieved it for both of us. But I guess just going back to that as well, when we were sitting in his office watching the procedure again, it was pretty emotional, to be honest. So yeah, just watching, the stent being put in, the balloon and it being pumped up, and then the stent being put in, and it was emotional time. So
you feel when you're watching, I felt like we were back in ICU, or back while you're having the procedure, actually, is how I felt when I was sitting outside, or when I couldn't, well, not that I couldn't find you, but no one was answering me to know if you were okay because.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is because I seen you walk past to go into the office, so it was past the doors. The doors were open, so all you had to do was look in, and you would have seen me. So I should have yelled out there.
Yeah, that would have helped me. That would have saved me a lot of grey hair now.
I actually thought you saying it.
Oh no, I was just focused on. I just needed someone to tell me that you were okay. That's what I was waiting for. But
yeah.
So our month of May was pretty intense and like the wildest roller coaster. I think it's the first time ever that you've probably had a month off work in your working life. I don't think as long as I've been around, you've never taken a sick day or not worked. But we'll get back into it and we'll just do things differently.
Yes, we will. But just like before we finish, I just want to thank everyone that played a part in, sending healing, sending love, sending their thoughts and continually checking in, and those that were really good for us when we were trying to make decisions early on, and they really helped us through that time, didn't they? So
there's and we don't have to name anybody, but they know who they are. They know what they did. They just looked after us. It was nice to be looked after. I don't want to be in that situation looked after like that all the time, but it was just nice to just all the beautiful phone calls, the messages, and we've got a really good group of people around us. We've got special people that do a lot of hard work, a lot of caring for community, caring for others, but just really good down-to-earth people that care and that are really positive.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I suppose one last thing before we do go as well, I mean, it's going to be another 10 weeks, like I can walk, and that's about it. No, I was going to say heavy lifting, but there's no
lifting at all. Stop even saying like, oh, I can't lift anything heavy. No, he can hold this, the pen, that's it.
So, yeah, like I just wanted to say, and I just spoke to another lad before, in a session that we were having a yarn in, and he'd been through having an aneurysm a couple of years ago, and for me it was just so good to have a yarn because he felt shame in and he wouldn't tell anyone, and I know that when I'm with Lisa and we're out, and I know she's going to say to people, oh, Jack's had a heart attack, and I what I say to you, that sounds like it sounds really bad.
It sounds very dramatic, Lisa, when you say that. Well, Jack, you did have it. But I think that's something you missed.
What I wanted to say, the point I was making this was because it does make you feel ashamed, and I don't know why that is, but the other thing that it also makes you feel a little bit useless as well. So,
you're allowed to have a rest, and you don't have to do everything, and that's where I think this bit is a little bit tricky for you because yes, you can. Like you said to me the other day, oh, I'm just going to go get those books, that box in the garage full of boxes. And I said, no, you looked at me like, well, why can't I can carry the box. And I know you can, but it's just at the moment, as the doctor said, your heart is bruised and it's healing. And thankfully there wasn't a lot of damage done to your heart. So it's got what do you call it? Not a jumper punch.
Corky in your heart, and he did say that there wasn't a lot of damage done, which is really good. So
yeah, which is huge, and I just think you're being too hard on yourself.
Yeah. Anyway, over and out for now. That's
Jack Bulbin.
No, look, yeah,
and I'm just going to jump in.
You always jump in, so yes.
Always, yes, because you're not useless. You're healing, and we want you around for a lot longer than having to do the lifting and go and run your marathon, because there's plenty of crazy things that you can do after you do the healing, and then you may not even want to do what you've been doing. Like, we've got time to find our new self.
Correct.
A new identity. You've had enough of me talking about that.
Correct. Not a bit. No. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's been really good to have a yarn and just get that story out there, I guess. So thank you, and
It's a good one.
for now. Bye.
Bye-bye.